Christine Russo did say that it is frustrating to her that there is not enough good stuff about Dominic, and that she wishes that Dominic and Davion would have gotten more screen time than they did in the Netflix series, because people aren't getting to know the good sides to them or how great they really are. And I think that documentaries can only do so much. You're never going to get to have people feel that person's goodness unless you got to meet them and hang out with them yourself. Dominic's parents, they are both devastated and sad, and they're also dealing with this betrayal from the Shirillas. They are very upset and annoyed that the Shirillas are basically trying to throw Dom under the bus and try to make him, the victim, be the bad guy, and still not having any accountability whatsoever. And that their efforts to try to get Mackenzie out is just an additional slap in the face. Move into talking about the insanity and stupidity of Steve and Natalie Shirilla. These parents, Steve and Natalie, continue to show their idiocy, their ignorance, and how these two people, maybe a baby wasn't for them, okay? Because they're not parents, as I already mentioned. There was no discipline that should have happened. Steve Shirilla is who we're going to talk about first. Now, in the documentary, Steve went on and on about how he was okay with Mackenzie doing marijuana because marijuana is better than alcohol and all the other crap that's out there. Well, Steve, what do you have to say about the shrooms that were on your daughter's body the day of the crash, and that she had gone to another party that same day with tequila? And there are even videos and things of Mackenzie with her mom at the memorial / gravesite with tequila, because it was her and Dominic's favorite. They love tequila. They knew she was doing it, one, because of the videos that they knew she made, because at least Natalie followed her, and Steve just seems like he is doting in the wrong way. He should have taken some parenting tips from Mr. Flanagan. You know that this happened multiple times, that if she got in trouble at school, he dismissed it, walked her out, got her out of detention suspension, let her have little mini vacay days if she got suspended. There was no consequences for her. That Mackenzie didn't have a book bag. Mackenzie had a purse bag. Okay, where are you keeping your books? Where's your binder? Even if I know that a lot of things aren't handwritten today, okay, where's your school tablet? The sun's starting to go behind houses and trees, so the lighting was looking a little weird. Pardon. But Steve Shirilla continues to say insane things, and then he wondered why he got fired from a Catholic school. Yeah, because you know how the Catholics are. They're absolutely known for being a laid-back bunch who would be cool with you letting your underage daughter do marijuana. And in Catholic school, you have to sign a bunch of stuff to be a teacher and have students enrolled in there that you will agree to not have this, that, the other thing. Oh, there are rules. And again, it seems that Steve Shirilla, much like his daughter, think that rules don't apply to them. About the stupidity and the 180 of Steve between the documentary and follow-up interviews. So in the documentary, him and Natalie both said they didn't see any red flags. Dominic was such a good guy. They loved him. They would have been married. They were in love. They were each other's life partners. And it annoys me very much that in the documentary, at one point, Steve says when he found out that DV was gone, Davion, when he said DV, like a kind of a nickname of endearment and closeness, to say that and then be so dismissive of Davion's life and other things, disrespectful. The age different thing doesn't matter to me. Some people are trying to make that bigger than it is. I don't think that matters at all. What I do think matters is that in the documentary, they were very just Dominic was this great, wonderful guy. He wasn't hurting for money because he was doing crypto trading. And, that was very nice. We knew that our daughter would be able to get taken care of. And Mackenzie also liked that he could give her nice gifts. Also wore a t-shirt in the documentary that said boom on it, and then wondered why people called him tone deaf, but he was too dumb. In his immediate follow-up interview, he was like, I hope my shirt's not too orange and that people think it's colorblind. Bro, tone deaf. People think you're tone deaf because you're wearing a giant boom shirt when talking about your daughter who crashed a car that killed 2 people. Letting his 17-year-old, move in with this 20-year-old. She's still a minor and he's letting her move in. But she was also she graduated, and she also was going to be 18 in the summer. So it doesn't seem like they were letting her be an adult until she got arrested, which happened after she was 18 because the crash was 2 days before she turned 18. Several other interviews, he's sitting there saying, oh, Dominic Russo's a drug dealer. Their family's part of the Strongsville Mafia. The judge was in on it. His mom was in on it and pulled strings so that Mackenzie would get charged with more. And he's insane. Now all of a sudden, dreamy Dominic, great guy, no red flags in the documentary, is now suddenly a gun-wielding, drug-dealing, abusive boyfriend. He was so controlling of Mackenzie's time. She didn't want to be his drug mule anymore, and that's why they were fighting. And he was doing stuff to her, that he's the one who tried to kill her, that he was probably the one who turned the wheel just like before. And let's talk about those text messages. So just a couple weeks prior to the crash, Dominic called his mom and his mom's boyfriend and said, hey, Mackenzie's driving like nuts. She's swerving. She's driving recklessly. I don't feel safe. And somebody needs to come and get me. So the boyfriend heard Mackenzie say, I will crash this car right now. I think that shows intent. It shows that she already had the idea in her head. She knows that crashing a car will cause harm. She knows that crashing a car is wrong, and she knows that it can hurt specifically Dominic. They were fighting in the car, and she has made multiple threats to Dominic to the point where she just throws it around. She's like, I'm going to end myself. I'm going to KMS if you don't apologize. She became more and more psychotic and controlling in their relationship as they went along.
Another thing I want to throw in here, I was editing and realized I forgot to make this point, that in one of the texts to Dom after the whole changing the steering wheel incident, a couple weeks before the crash itself happened, the text then when they're arguing back and forth of him consistently saying, Kenzie, no, I didn't, and her saying, you tried to end my life, I need you to apologize and tell me that you love me, blah, blah, blah. She said, you tried to end my life and said, do you want to die? Now, the way that I interpret that is I believe that Dominic said to Kenzie, do you want to die? But I bet the way that he said it in that moment, because he called his mom to get a ride away from her because she was driving crazy. I think he was saying it in a panic, like, do you want to die? Wait, what are you doing? I think that's the way that he said it. And the proof is that she said the words, and you said, do you want to die?
I think that the reason is because not only is Mackenzie used to getting her way and whatever she wants because of her ignorant parents, and that also Dominic is a status symbol. Mackenzie needs friends. She needs to constantly have external validation because of her own insecurities. It's why she doesn't eat often. It's why she has to glam up every day while she's in jail. It's because she needs validation constantly. And her validation with Dominic was, I have this really hot boyfriend. Because Dominic is a nice looking, or was a nice looking, really handsome male model level looking guy. Having him on her arm elevates her status. That is a boyfriend where everyone can look at them and go, oh my gosh, look, Mackenzie has that guy. And Mackenzie likes status. The same reason why she was friends with Rosie at all is because she could get side fame, share the spotlight, get spotlight by being in Rosie's aura. She got an elevation being with Dominic. And Dominic was so non confrontational and he just would try to calm down. He was trying to set boundaries. He was the reasonable one in the relationship, but he was also the pushover in the relationship. And Mackenzie ruled everything because she kept making threats. He didn't want her to end her life or act like she was going to end her life and then him get blamed. He was just trying to calm down. He's just trying to smoke up and have a good time. It seemed that at least between Rosie and Bubba, their hookup for shrooms and marijuana was Dominic. There are text messages that were shown in the documentary and additional text messages of them saying, hey, can we get like $40 worth of bud? Can I get a gram of shrooms? Blah, blah, blah. There are those text messages and exchanges that happen. Keeping in mind that Dominic was 20 years old when he died in the crash that Mackenzie caused. But you have to be 21 in Ohio to buy and consume THC and CBD products. So where is he getting them from? I also question, the Russo family in the being maybe a little too lenient in the drug thing. Like that can still hurt growing brains and bodies. The Russo's family's biggest downfall in all of this was that Dominic had told them, there were multiple family members who were interviewed who had said that she was controlling, she was psychotic, that Dominic wanted to break up with her, that he was leaning to permanently end the relationship, and what should have happened sooner, blocking Mackenzie on the phone, breaking up, blocking her, and getting a restraining order or several restraining orders against her. Now let's talk about the stupidity that is Natalie Shirilla. Is Mackenzie's mother, but she wanted to be her daughter's friend. She seems like she was this clingy, needy person, which we know where Mackenzie gets it from, honestly, is that Natalie seems like the kind of person who wants to be her daughter's teenage friend. She wants to be a cool mom. She wants to be one of the cool kids. That she also seems to have her own developmental disorders and problems, that she is not mature. She wants to be like one of the girls. Mackenzie is so mean to her parents. There are lots of text messages where she calls them names, calls them R words, insults them, tells them off all the time, cusses out them, and they just go, it's her Mackenzie. It kind of gives those people who have a mean dog, usually a Chihuahua or some other small breed dog, and they're like, yeah, this dog's really mean and hates everybody, but I'm obsessed with her and I love her so much, even though my little dog is evil. That's what Mackenzie's mom acts like towards Mackenzie. Not forget that when Mrs. Russo met Natalie in the hospital for the first time after the accident, Natalie didn't go, oh my god, I'm so sorry about Dominic, or oh my gosh, I'm so sorry this happened, I can't believe this, what can I do for you, oh, what are we gonna do? No, she's like, don't believe Facebook. Woman, we have dying / dead kids. Of course, I'm going to talk about the Carney language thing. Once it was deciphered, it really just shows that Mackenzie just kind of talks crap about people around her with her mom, and they just sort of flow in and out of it. Also dismissive of Davion, and says, oh, he's a new friend. We all know the thing, saying that on one hand, Dominic was the love of her life. They would have been married. Mackenzie would never intentionally hurt Dominic. So he was really evil and mean to her, and he's the bad one. We should be looking at the dead guy that our daughter killed as the perpetrator. And even though she mentions a couple times, like, you tried to end my life when you tried to grab the steering wheel from me, he keeps on saying, I didn't do that, Kenzie. You need help, Mackenzie. I didn't try to kill you, Mackenzie. I was trying to keep me safe, Mackenzie. And he's just like, go ahead, do it. Break up. Let's go. And then he goes, and I want my money, or I'm going to take you to civil court. Now I have questions, Dominic. Like, we're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but I just have questions. Dominic, what were you going to go to civil court for? Because if this is over drug money, what are you going to do? Go into court and say, hey, she sold drugs for me and she's not giving me my money for the drugs. That's not going to work out for you. Not that being with her worked out for him at all. Natalie's mom says, you see all the text messages that Kenzie sent that Dominic pulled the wheel and tried to kill her? That's the proof that he was doing that. He's the bad one, not Mackenzie. And in the phone calls and jail calls, Natalie continues to go, write your book, Mackenzie. Write your book, Mackenzie. We're going to, you need to write your book, Mackenzie. Natalie apparently doesn't know about Slayer statutes and Son of Sam laws. One of the other things that the Russos and Flanagans have been doing behind the scenes is legally they have been trying to make laws that extend Slayer statutes and Son of Sam laws into social media. Because in Ohio right now, there isn't, because technology and law, they don't keep up with each other very well. Because Mackenzie keeps on saying that once she gets out of there, her appeals have all been denied, by the way. But anyway, Slayer statutes and Son of Sam laws are laws that are in place to prevent criminals from profiting off of their notoriety and infamy. And books are included in this, Natalie, that any profit cannot go to or on the behalf of the criminal, that it has to go to or on the behalf of the victims. Victims need restitution. If the victims need medical bills paid, if victims need help covering funeral costs, or if they have philanthropies like the barbershop philanthropy from the Flanagans on Davion's behalf, that any money or profit that might have been made from interviews, selling pictures, videos, or Mackenzie keeps on saying that she's going to become really famous on Instagram, that she wants to be a life coach. There's even a jail call between Natalie and Mackenzie where they're talking about her cousin going to jail for something, and it's like, yeah, she needs to be friends with me, I'll keep her out of jail. Yeah, she needs to be better with you, she needs a good influence. Good influence? Natalie, your daughter Mackenzie, the one who you're talking to about being a good influence, is in prison for murder of 2 people. She's not keeping anybody out of jail. She couldn't do the basic thing of not killing people. The latest motion that has come forth is that Mackenzie's appeals have been denied, and her latest appeal has been denied because it was a day late. First of all, talk about being an ineffective lawyer. Why are you waiting until the last day to file a motion? What? No. Are arguing that because it's such a risky deadline, that the motion should be heard and reviewed to the Ohio Supreme Court is because of the merits. Let's talk about the sentencing. So first of all, Judge Russo has no familial or blood connection relations to Dominic Russo and that Russo family. It had already been checked and cleared. Sentenced to 15 years to life for Dominic and 15 years to life for Davion. But the concurrent sentence instead of the consecutive one means day 1 for Dominic is day 1 for Davion, etc. Instead of she has to serve 15 years at least for Davion and then 15 years minimum before she's eligible for parole for Dominic. Minimum has to be in for 15 years before her first parole board hearing. You break it down, that's 7.5 years for each boy's life. But I think I understand why the judge did it. Judges are very aware of appellate issues. They do not want all the work from themselves, their staff. If there was a jury, I realized that Mackenzie had a bench trial, which means just the judge was judging it. Judges do not want their stuff overturned on appeal. So they do tend to make decisions that will not cause issues for the appellate court. They want the appellate court to read all of this transcript. Yes, all of that is fine. We will leave it alone. I believe that Mackenzie would only be serving 15 years, but I also think she was trying to avoid possible 8th Amendment violations. The 8th Amendment says that you cannot be given excessive jail or bond. She already has almost 40, possibly more now, violations. Like, she's been getting tickets in prison. Her mom has tried to explain this away with Chris Cuomo. She was like, if you have an extra alarm clock, or if you have a piece of food in your room that wasn't on your list, if you like cross boundaries, because she doesn't have any, she's not breaking any real rules. It's just they have a bunch of stupid rules. But her violations have included doing stuff with other inmates, like intimately, for cussing out guards, for starting stuff with inmates, for not participating stuff, for not following rules in general. It's going to be a problem for her parole board, because the Flanagans and the Russos are going to show up and continue to say the negative impact that Mackenzie's actions have on them. She's also has so many violations that the parole board is going to look at that and go, yeah, you've learned nothing. You have no remorse. You have not grown or improved to become a decent, possible civil human being out in the world. No, you're gonna stay in. And then they get to decide how much longer she stays in to her next parole hearing. If she got another 15 years, that would be some epic justice. That's my opinion on that. I hope that you have a good time. Links are all below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, my lovely humans.